Welcome to our very first ever podcast Power Up. This is a live deep dive with me, Power Coach Alishia. If you don't know who I am Power Coach Alishia, and I'm your source of fun, funny, exciting, entertaining, educational, and transformational life coaching, soul healing, and speaking. I specialize in helping women heal their soul, put themselves first without feeling guilty, and finding themselves again. And so I'm stoked to go into today's episode of the podcast, which is all about you don't change to be accepted, you grow to feel whole. Because when I do these episodes, if you don't know about the podcast, by the way, you can find it at soulfirepodcast.com. They're all riffing, which means I have a bullet point, which is usually like 5 words, and I just riff from my soul on how I feel, what's on my mind, whatever comes up for me around that topic. And so I'm excited about the deep dives because I can offer thought processes from an alternate perspective than what I had when I originally recorded the episode. So with that being said, what I find a lot that happens is that we meet people and they say things to us, or there's, situations, circumstances, people, things that happen. And instead of like standing in our power and standing behind whatever it is that we said or how we show up or our belief systems, we change ourselves so that people will accept us for who they think we should be. And someone might tell you that that's good because that helps you evolve and grow and connect with people. And I say that's bad because that's how you lose yourself and get to a point where you can't figure out who you are, right? That's where you get to a point where you're like, who the hell is this person? Where did this person come from? Like a huge disconnection because you have no clue who this person is. I just realized I forgot to go live somewhere else. So we're going to go live there now. I forgot I'm going live in 3 places, but I can do this. So with that being said, when you change yourself to be accepted, you create a whole energy of like, okay, so if people don't like things about you, or there's things about you that is a disconnection for them, if they just say something, they bring it to your attention, if they make you feel bad or guilty about it, then you're going to change that. At what point do you stand in your power? And actually, if we rewind this, how do you claim that power? How do you own that power? How do you stop from losing who you are when you're constantly changing so that other people accept you as the person they think you should be? You see, when you go through life doing that, not only do you lose who you are, but as you're growing as a person, you end up not liking who you become because you end up being this yes woman, right? You end up being this person who's just like, sure, yes, I'm going to be that for you. I can show up in that way. I can deliver that for you. I can be what you think you want me to be. And it also comes from this place of fulfillment. And I just want you to know that as we continue on these podcast power ups, and we get, more and more people on here live as I'm doing them, I'm hoping for questions and situations and things that are going on in your life that you can bring to the forefront of the episodes, and I can give my feedback on them. And, so based around the podcast topic, if you join me live, we can really, deep dive into some of the things that came up for you as you were listening to the episode. So on Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern is when the episodes drop. And then Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern is when we go live for the podcast deep dive, the podcast Power Up. So if you get your fulfillment in what you give to other people, how you show up for them, their need for you and what you have to give, if your fulfillment comes from there, it creates this cycle of you feeling like, well, in order to be for someone and show up for them, you have to be and show up in the way that they think you should. And if you don't do that and they end up having a problem with it, they feel frustrated with it, there's some sort of issue there, then what happens is you start feeling bad about it, right? You start beating yourself up. You start feeling frustrated because they're not seeing you the way that you want them to see you. So here you are on this change path of readjusting yourself so that they feel comfortable. And I'm so big on that, right? To not edit yourself to make someone else feel comfortable. Like, that's not your job. Your job is not to, again, be a version of yourself that someone else wants you to be so that they feel comfortable with who you are. And I know that there's the argument there of like, well, do you actually want people to feel uncomfortable around you? Like, why would you want people to feel uncomfortable around you, right? There's that thought that if you're not readjusting yourself to make others feel comfortable, then people are always going to feel uncomfortable around you. And why would you want those people to want to be around you in the first place? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you should never be editing yourself because who you are makes others uncomfortable. To me, that is a massive shift needed in changing your tribe. That means that you attracted and created a tribe and an energy that was, here's this version of myself that I'm constantly editing so that the people around me feel good. And when I show up as I am and they don't feel good and they feel uncomfortable with that, I'm just going to change that. I'm saying stand in your power and be who the fuck you are. And then let these people who are uncomfortable with that and don't like that, and there's a disconnection from that, just go ahead and bow the fuck out of your life, right? And it's the same for those other people showing up in your life. They shouldn't have to be something for you or change for you or adjust for you. Adjusting. There's always going to be some adjustment. So they shouldn't have to change who they are to make you feel comfortable either. We are now, I feel like, living in this world, and maybe we have lived in this world for a long time, but I don't know. I'm just feeling this whole, I don't know, clearness of so much we are changing because we want to be accepted. So much we are, hey, welcome in. So much we are editing who we are because we feel like if we don't, we're going to be alone. It's like this fear of dying alone or something, which you're not going to die alone. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Your tribe is out there. There are people who absolutely will love and accept you and probably already do love and accept you for who you are at your core, but you felt like you needed to edit yourself and be something different for the people who didn't like something you said or did, right? And that's all relative too, right? There's going to be adjustments that you need to make when, you fly off the cuff maybe and you say something that's inconsiderate. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the core of who you are, the core of your being. So here's a good example. So let's say that you're in the dating scene, right? So you're out there, you're on dating apps, and you're meeting new people all the time. And let's say the core of your, foundation of your personality is that you talk about sex a lot, you joke about sex a lot, right? And so these guys are thinking that because that's how your personality is, that means that you're just going to have sex with them on, let's say, the first date. Well, the truth is that's a core of your personality and how you show up, or maybe it's a development of your personality, whatever. And so that's how you are, right? That's how you have comical relief. That's how you have icebreakers to conversations, right? So some would say, well, if you don't want them to think that you're just easy and going to have sex with them, like, you shouldn't be talking about sex all the time. And I say, why should you have to edit yourself when that's the core of who you are? That's what I mean. Like, no, you shouldn't have to edit yourself and, not talk about sex. And because that's, part of your personality, because people are taking that information and processing it however they want and making a belief system that is not true. It's like, I'm going to be who the fuck I am. And just because you come up with some conclusion of what you think is true and what that means, I'm not going to change, right? The same thing like in this scenario. No, just because that's part of my personality, that doesn't mean I'm going to go have sex with you. It just means that that's how I break the ice and that's how I'm funny. And that doesn't mean I'm going to send you photos and da 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 da. And if that person on the other side isn't receiving that, right? They don't see it like that. And there's an issue there. You just cut the ties and you move the fuck on, right? There's no need to edit yourself. Oh my gosh, I guess I was wrong. And, change all that. No, fuck that. Keep being you and moving forward. And then you're going to find the guy or the guys that you can date or the women, whatever, that you can date and that see you for you and they love that about you. And then you move forward. You see, but when you change yourself because you feel like that's what you need to do to make somebody feel comfortable or to accept you or to make sure there's no misunderstandings like that, that's how you end up losing who you are. That's what happens because you're going around being this chameleon everywhere in all of these different areas of your life that you're like, who the fuck am I? What the fuck am I about? I think a big part of depression and anxiety is disconnection from your soul. You're feeling so disconnected from who you are, what you stand for, if you even know what that is, what you're about, what you bring to the table, how you honor, value, and respect yourself, that you just lose all of the disconnection. You just are going through life kind of floating around. It gives you anxiety because who do you need to show up as today in order to feel like you're worth something? Right? That's where that anxiety comes in, right? How do I need to mold myself? How do I need to perform for these people in order for them to see me and accept me and see me and connect with me as the person that I am? But you don't even know who the fuck you are. So it creates this depression. There's this huge disconnect and these feelings of like, I have no clue what I'm about. I have no clue who I am. I have no clue what makes me happy or what my life is about or where I'm going with my life or what I want from my life. That's what leads to depression. I've been doing and being and showing up for all these people in my life, and I feel empty. I feel like I don't even exist. I feel like I'm not seen, I'm not heard, I'm not understood. And that all comes because of the fact that you are changing and are changing to be accepted by the people around you instead of growing to feel whole inside of you. The whole adage that this person completes me, or these people, or this person is my life, or this person or these people is my everything, drives me crazy. It drives me crazy because that tells me your fulfillment comes from the outside in instead of the inside out. Those statements happen with children and partners. They're my everything, right? They complete me. Children and partners. This is going to be a big one, like a big bomb drop. If anything outside of you completes you, then that anything, when it is not feeling good, is not vibing well, it will also deplete you, destroy you, and that's how you spiral. That's how you fall a fucking part. Okay? Hey, Mariah. Hi, Morgan. Right? That's how you fall apart. Do you know how much fucking pressure it is on your children and on your partner to be your everything, to be what completes you? Do you know how horrible that is for them? Now, on the front side of it, it isn't horrible, right? Like, it's not a big deal. That's like, oh my God, I love it so much, right? Well, when you really start diving in and those people are your completeness, those people are your wholeness, those people are your everything, those are such unfair expectations. Sorry, my dog's going to get water now, right? So you guys have to listen to her lap up water for a second. Those are such unfair expectations of those people because it isn't their job. If they're your everything, then they have to be something for you in order for you to feel whole. And in your mind, it's just their existence that makes them everything. Is it? Have you ever had a teenager? As soon as that teenager starts being teenagery and doing teenager things, all of a sudden you're really being tested. Well, if they're your everything, right? And they complete you, and in their being, they're shaky, things aren't quite right. They're going down paths and making decisions and being their own humans of things that maybe you don't agree with, or they hurt you, or they destroy you. Guess who's also completely fucking destroyed and cannot stand on their own 2 feet? Guess who also has no personal power and feels completely lost and depleted? Somebody tell me how the fuck you are to be someone's strength when you've completely lost yourself and feel completely depleted because someone was your everything, because someone completed you, and now they're not at their best in your world. I never believe your kids should complete you and be your everything. I never believe your partner should completely you and be your everything. I believe that you are the one that completes you, and you are the one that is your everything. I do have children. I love them more than anything. I love them so much. I don't love them more than me, though. Would I sacrifice myself for them? Of course. Somebody would say, well, then that means you love them more than you, does it? Because at that moment of that sacrificing, to me, I'm making the decision that their life is worth more than mine because they're my children. I only have 2 humans on this earth I would sacrifice my life for. I wouldn't do it for my partner. That's not my job. That's not my burden. That's not my responsibility. It's not. They need to sacrifice themselves for themselves. That's not my job there, right? My kids are a part of me. They came from me, right? This is like highly controversial because it's a thought process that we don't live by. It's like you have these humans and they need to be your everything. You need to go to the ends of the earth and do whatever it takes and show up for them no matter what that does to you. Really? Okay, well then what happens when they need you and you have nothing left to give because you were giving way too much instead of teaching them how to give to themselves? You see, when you're everything to your children, to your partner, they don't stand on their own 2 feet. It doesn't mean that you don't love them fully. It doesn't mean that you don't give to them at these like amazing deep soul levels, whether it's your partner or it's your children. But what it means is if you don't focus on you first, if you don't grow yourself to feel whole, if you don't do the work that it takes on you, then you're not going to be able to be for them what it is you truly want to give to them, no matter what. See, my kid wakes up and like literally uproars my whole house. Now the dog is making noise and the dog is drinking water. Standards, right? Around my household, I swear to God. Okay, I digress. It's annoying, but it will be fixed for next time. Fix it. Thank you. So I'm not saying that you can't love your kids with all of you. I'm not saying that your partner can't be the love of your life, your soulmate, that side of things. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when you have this energy that what is outside of you is more important than you won't be able to give what it is that you have to give at the peak levels because you put them before you. You want to give your kids the world. You want to honor your partner in whatever the ways that feels right for you at the best levels that feels so good. You can only do that as the best version of you. You can only give that as the best version of you, and you can only be the best version of you when you come before all of that. You've got to focus on you. And when you grow to feel whole, that's from the inside out. When you change to be accepted, it's from the outside in. And this can be like a whole other conversation, but that's also why parents nowadays are way more friends to their children than they are leaders. Because parents are more focused on being their kid's friend and being liked and being accepted by their children than they are about leading them to greatness, pushing them to greatness, showing them the path of life, what it's like to live. So this is like a not necessarily ha funny, but it is pretty fucking funny. So we're camping a couple of weeks ago, and my oldest is just not happy, right? I'm like, what's going on, dude? What's wrong? And he's like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't know where I'm going. He's 17. Um, 17, he's been 17 for 3 months. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I want to be. All these things. He's like all this unsurety, right? And he's like, I'm so frustrated. And it's like everybody around me, they know what they're doing, they know where they're going. And he's like, and I just don't feel like you treat me like I'm an adult or gonna be an adult soon. I still feel like you're treating me like a child, right? So we have this whole conversation around all of these feelings and everything that he's feeling and what's going on inside of him. We get to the end of it. He feels better, we move forward. Well, then a few days later, I can't fully remember what it was, but a few days later, he makes a decision that is a child decision, not an adult decision. I said, remember how you told me that you wanted me to treat you like an adult? You can't be treated like an adult when you're still acting like a child, when you're still making child decisions. And the reason why you're still making child decisions is because you're still a child. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and being your mom accordingly and teaching you, that the stuff that it takes to be an adult and helping you transition into adulthood. Just know though, you're still going to be treated a lot like a child because you still act like a child because you are still a child. There's been at least two situations since that conversation that I had with him around the decisions he's making. He's making child decisions, but wanting to be treated like an adult, right? If you can get away from showing up in your kid's life, wanting them to accept you, to be the person that accepts you, and you can just be there for them and support them to greatness, then there will come that time where they're your friend. In my mind, in my world, though, my kids never complete me. Because when they fuck up, when they go off the deep end, when they're losing it, when their life is in shambles, when they're making decisions that I completely don't agree with, when they're doing things that make me, let's say, have to distance myself, watching my mom with my brothers and different things like that, because they're making decisions for their life that would grossly impact mine in a negative legal way. If they complete me and I have to create space there, I'm not going to recover from that. I'm not going to be able to live through that. It's going to bring me to my knees and keep me there. I think a lot of times we think that these high levels of like completeness and everything have to be there with our children and our partners because we think if they're not, then they're less important. It's not that they're less important, it's that you're the most important. When someone is your everything and they pass away, this is how people get stuck in grieving. They don't know who they are without that person. They don't know how to live without that person. They don't know how to operate without that person. To me, that's horrible. You should never not know how to live without someone. Life is full of ups and downs and ebbs and flows and people coming into your life and leaving, people being born and dying. Life is literally about the on ramps and off ramps of people coming and going. So why the fuck would you ever create an energy and a connection that you can't live without someone? There's a big difference in an energy of I can't live without them than I don't want to live without them. If you can't live without them, you get stuck. You literally cannot live without them. I think my viewpoint on things like this is so, I would say, diametrically opposed to most of what anybody talks about in the life coaching world because I've lived these different situations with my mother watching my biological dad die of cancer when I was 12 years old, watching my stepdad die in 2008, watching my mom bury her dad after she had lost a baby at almost 9 months. Like watching her go through all of these things, and the life that she lived all the way up to the moment of meeting my dad was just complete shit. I mean, I swear it's like every situation that multiple people would live through, my mom's lived through all of it. All the abuse and all the things, like someone has been abused. That's the thing that keeps them stuck. But then watching my mother, it's like still moving forward, still living life, like a genuinely happy fucking soul. Like if I went down every single thing that she's lived through, and then I look at like this person is struggling because they're stuck in like that same thing. Like there's like 52 things over here. And out of those 52 things, most people would say, oh my God, if that happened to me, I don't know what I would do. And each one of those things is one of those fucking things. And my mom's lived through them all and just shown me like, yeah, you grieve and you're sad and it sucks and it's horrible and it's hard for you, but you keep moving. And you don't keep moving in a way where you just shove it all in a box. You like literally move through and like learn how to release the pain from those things and be genuinely happy with your life now and where you're at now. And if you're not, that you do something about it. That's keeping your personal power. That is not allowing external people, circumstances, places, things to determine your everything and your completeness. If you always change to be accepted, you will never feel whole inside of yourself. If other people, things, places, circumstances is where you feel whole, where you feel complete, where you feel like it's everything that you needed, you'll never feel whole because it's all outside of you. That's my whole message for this podcast episode that I did. If you haven't listened to it, go to soulfirepodcast.com. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal episode. I love my podcast. I think every episode is created equally as powerful as it is. I rate all my episodes a 10, which is the highest level in my world on a scale from 1 to 10 because of the channeling, like what comes through me. Like I said at the beginning of this power up, I only have like 3 to 7, 3 to 5 words of what I want to talk about for most episodes. And everything else is intuition and riffing off my soul and what comes up for me and what I want to share with you. And so if you listen to this episode, everything we've talked about today is going to be that much more impactful. If you've already listened to it, now you can see an even deeper side of that you don't change to be accepted, you grow to feel whole. The journey that my clients go on and what you do in my world is growing to feel whole. That's what it is all about. And then you add people around you to feel full. So like the people, circumstances, places, and things help you feel full, but they don't make you feel whole. Being full and whole are two different things, right? So full is like up and whole is around, right? It's just the whole of you. And full is like the inside of you, if you will. So, yes, all of those things matter and all of those things are important for sure. It's just the importance and where you place them that is everything. That is what is so fucking important. They need to be on the full side because you can feel empty and still feel whole. They're two different things. So like I'm still whole in me, but like I feel lonely. I feel disconnected. I want friends. Like that's how that difference feels, right? That's not literally how I feel, but like that is how that would feel, right? I feel good. Like I feel good in myself. I'm proud of what I'm doing in work and da 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 blah 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 blah. I'm missing that connection with people and I really need a vacation and I really need a date night or a da 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 and blah blah blah, right? It's just that energy that helps you feel whole and that those are the feelings that you're feeling. So usually when you feel like more empty, there's discontentment. When you don't feel whole, you literally feel depressed, disconnected from yourself, high anxiety. You're taking actions for yourself that are horrible, right? You're giving everything you have to give up of yourself to people, and depleting every ounce of energy that you have. Like, when you don't feel whole, it's very self-destructive. When you don't feel full, it's uncomfortable, it's annoying, it's bothersome, it's frustrating. It's just, one is like detriment energy, and one is like, this fucking sucks energy. And if you can learn this and you stick with me and you can separate these things, you will instantly increase your quality of life. Everything will start to shift. So I would say a first step from this whole stepping into your wholeness and fullness, opposed to changing to be accepted and get your fulfillment from basically being a chameleon everywhere. A first step to this is boundaries that you set for yourself. What's your threshold of things? What are things that, like, when that is pushed, when that boundary is pushed, like when that thing happens or doesn't happen, it's a trigger, it sets you off, it's a something for you. When that happens, that's a boundary. If someone does blank, I feel like this, which is a way that I don't want to feel, that's a boundary. So when somebody says something, when somebody does something, when someone doesn't say something, when somebody doesn't do something, right? So it's not only about boundaries that you set for other people in your life, but it's also about boundaries that you set with yourself and how you show up and what you will and will not accept, because you have to enforce those boundaries. You have to enforce those standards. What are they for you? Because as soon as you get those in place, you hold yourself to the ones you set for yourself, and you hold everybody else to the ones that you have set for anybody that is in your life. Now you can start growing to feel whole, because now you've reclaimed your power. Now you're standing in that power, and now you're way more clear about what you want, what you don't want, what you accept, what you won't accept, and all of those sorts of things. So many great episodes are coming up on the podcast that I cannot wait to do deep dives on. Excuse me. So right now, I want you to hear what I'm saying with this. I want you to take this information. And like I said, I look forward to continued podcast power ups where we dive deep into the different episodes and we start pulling these things out. I look forward to the conversations in the chat, and, being able to discuss these things with you, and having you bring, your questions and then your different situations and circumstances, because I know there's a yeah, but in a lot of minds when you hear stuff like this. Yeah, but you don't understand. In my life, I have this, and yeah, but I have that, and yeah, but there's this going on. Yeah, but that's life. So you have to learn where your power is. You have to learn what it is you need to do for yourself on a regular basis to feel whole, to stand in your power, while also shifting to the next level version of you. While all of that is happening, there's always going to be the yeah buts to the situation. The question is, what are you going to do with the information so that you feel whole, so that you feel full, so that you're standing in your power, so you're shifting into the next level version of you, and so that you feel good in your life and how you operate and how you show up and who you are? Because at the end of the day, it only matters how you feel about you. Like I said earlier, your vibe attracts your tribe. So that's everything. If you love yourself and who you are and how you show up, you're going to exude that attitude, that energy, and all of that about yourself, which is auto going to attract the people who love that. And it's going to repel the people who don't. Instead of you editing yourself to be accepted, changing to be accepted. And so you attract these people who wouldn't actually like those things about you. And now when you show up as you, there's a battle. There's an issue there, because you edited yourself, you changed yourself to be accepted, and now those people show up and they're not actually your fucking tribe, and you're like, this feels like shit, and I don't like the way that I feel, and I don't like what's going on with me. But you did that because you didn't just show up as you and trust that the people who are for you would be with you and will love you through everything. So, as I always say yes to yourself more than you say yes to other people. Give yourself some grace. And it's always about progress, not perfection. Please go to soulfirepodcast.com. Check out the free downloads we have for you. Listen to the podcast. So much great stuff going on there. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.